here we have the image opened up in Photoshop CS5. I use Photoshop so that I can do layers and I can do curves adjustment layers to certain parts of the image without affecting the rest. So we're going to use layer masks for most of what we do here. Actually, most of what you'll see here is just the curves adjustment once we get it to this point. So you can see right here are where all your layers are, and we can start by clicking down here, and we can add a curves layer to the overall image. And you kind of look at your graph here, and you see that again the way we came out of Photomatics was that it was kind of low in contrast, and you can see that by this black point kind of getting let's go ahead and drag it down, and that's going to give us some nice darkness. After all, this was shot after sunset, so it is pretty dark. So let's go ahead and drag it down. And you also see that when you add contrast, see, kind of drag this white point over, you get color out of it. So you see that difference? Just from doing one curves adjustment, you get that much contrast in your image. Alright, now we want to kind of do, I might bring this down just a bit. And we can adjust these all later. That's the good thing about the layers like that. Let's go ahead and do another curves one. This time we're going to fill this layer mask with all black by hitting Control I. When you hit Control I right there, it fills it in all black, which means right now that curves adjustment layer is not affecting anything in this image. We can grab the brush, make it white, so we're grabbing a white soft brush, and we're going to do a curves adjustment for the road and the concrete, let's say, up front. So take this white brush and kind of just start drawing over here. And what you can do is you can hit the backslash button, and this shows you your mask. So the red are parts of the image that are not affected, and when you start coloring in with the brush white, you see that you start getting rid of some of that red. So like I said, we will kind of want to just do this road, make the brush bigger, and we will color in the road area. And all of this down here. Go ahead and include this parking lot. So we want to do a curves adjustment, a different contrast. It gives us different color, different contrast on just this section right here. Now you can see up here at the graph that again it looks a little different from this one, because this is what it looks like only in this area. So you can hit the backslash button and it turns that off, and we still get this. So if we kind of see that we're kind of bring in those whites some, and that's going to brighten our road, and we can click a point down here and kind of darken this up some. So you see what this does just to our road. Adds a good bit of color and contrast just to that area right there. Alright, we're going to, using that there, let's go ahead and do the same thing to the sky. We want to do just the sky. So let's do another curves adjustment layer. Hit a Control I to fill that with black. Hit the backsplash to see our mask, and grab a white soft brush. And let's go ahead and paint just the sky. As you get closer to these buildings, kind of lower your brush some. Now there are different ways of creating masks, and you can get a lot more accurate with this mask. On this particular image, the sky and the buildings are so far away that I think this will be fine. I do have a plugin from Topaz called Topaz Remask that I do a lot of masking with when the mask is a little more intricate and difficult, and it is a great program. I do suggest picking that up if you're going to do this a lot. So we're just going quickly over the buildings. And we can go back and make some adjustments a little more. So let's go ahead and bigger brush over this area. kind of look for all the red spots in the sky there, make sure you got them all out. And for some of these areas where we overwent, we can go back, switch to a black brush, and kind of just go back over these buildings just to make sure. Yeah, especially right here. Alright. Alright, now when we turn this backsplash button again, we turn this off. You can see here that the whites are pretty good, actually clipped even, but the blacks have a lot of room. So if we grab this point and kind of bring it down a good bit, you see we end up with a lot of color in that sky. Now let's go ahead and even drag this over, and that will lighten up that area right there. Alright, now you can also go back and see where some of these halos may be by doing that, and kind of just touch them up with the white brush. And that looks pretty good. Alright, so you see how much color and how much more dramatic that sky is now. And again, we haven't changed anything. We haven't added any color. We haven't added the sky. All of this is as shot. We've simply brought out some of the detail and some of the color in there. So now we want to do another curves adjustments, very similar for the buildings. Instead of going over all that again, I'll tell you what we can do is hit a Control J. To duplicate the layer. Now, hit a Control I again, and that will inverse it. So now our mask, you see, is everything below the buildings. Now, we already did a curves mask for the road. So let's turn our quick mask on, and we will get a black brush. And we pretty much don't need to do more curves on any of this stuff down here. So let's go ahead and take that off. Alright. Alright, if we turn that off, now you can see here that we may have brought the darks down too much, but basically what this did was duplicate the sky, but we don't need to do the same curves adjustment as we did in the sky. So let's brighten up these buildings some, and you can see this white point here has got some room to go. So if we drag that over, now you see how much, if you go too far, it kind of gets crazy, huh? So let's take it back just a tad. Now look at the difference here. See how much detail and color and contrast that just added to that scene. Not too bad, huh? Now you could do the same. Say you wanted this building to kind of stand out. You could do a curves adjustment just for this building. You could do one just for this building. You could do one just for the skyline. That might help that skyline pop a little bit. And you can also come back and make changes to each of these layers as you go. You can turn them off, turn them on, so you can see how each of these layers affects your image. That's the great thing about working with layers. Let's do another adjustment layer. This time we're going to do color balance, and this is one that I do use a lot, and this will kind of adjust the color balance of this image. And instead of doing the midtones, I usually do the shadows. The shadows tend to come out of Photomatics pretty with a red tint to it. So typically what I do is I take the shadows color balance and I put a -5 in and a 5 in here. And that will, just to the shadows area, the dark areas, it kind of adds just a bit of a color tint. Now you see that? And to the highlights, to get a little more color out of the sunset, we can add a color balance to this highlight, to the sky basically, and all the lights. And so we're going to add some red to this. So if we add just a little bit of red, a little bit of magenta, and a little bit of yellow, something like that. I don't know, you can mess with them. You can mess with the sliders. You can see what it does. I usually like it somewhere around here. It's not too much. And you can click this off and on and see what it does. And see, that gives us some nice color in that sky. Look at all that color we brought out in the sky. It gives us nice contrast and darkness in the darks. The last thing I want to do is crop this. I don't like all this stuff happening down here. We got wires and all kind of stuff. So somewhere right about here, let's clear this old sample. Let's see what this looks like. Even more than that, I think. Let's do something like that. You know what? We don't even need. Let's take this in some. A little bit of space. Let's hit that. Now that I like. And we're pretty close to a finished image. Now there's some other things, you know, you could do some things here and there and tweak it as you like, but I think we're getting pretty close to how I like it. I'm going to go ahead and save this. And that pretty much finishes it. Now there's some other final touches that I would like to add, but it's a little more advanced photoshopping, and I'll go ahead and put that into the next video. But I think this pretty much wraps it up. Thanks for watching.